Always had an interest in farming. My grandfather, who was just the quietest man, he grew grapes. And I remember asking him, can I work with you in the vineyard? And he said, do you think you're big enough to pull grapes? And I said, oh yeah, I can do it. But I never could have guessed that 30 years later I would be doing horticulture on my own.
Growing up in Mount Arab, Bill MacKentley learned the importance and the challenge of growing food in the cold North Country climate. He took his interest in farming and his enterprising spirit off to college. After graduating, he formed an organization called Environmental Testing Service. He really found his calling, though, when he started reading a Watertown Times weekly column by a man named Fred Ashworth. Fred, a farmer and amateur horticulturist in Heuvelton, New York, had by then spent 50 years growing trees and other crops that could steadily produce food in northern New York's harsh climate, including the coldest test winters that kill off all but the hardiest plants. By 1924, Fred had started St. Lawrence Nurseries to sell these trees.
He was working specifically on what you could grow here and what you might be able to make grow here. In other words, can we find walnuts, black walnuts that are hardy enough to be reliable here in the North Country? Can we find hickory nuts that are reliable enough?
Fred quickly became Bill's mentor, and a very generous one at that. After a few meetings, Fred gave Bill and his soon-to-be wife Diana an acre of land to get started on, and they were soon working closely together.
I did my first grafts in 1972. He taught me to graft, and the two of us worked all day.
For the next 5 years, Bill apprenticed with Fred, learning all he could. He and Diana also started building up their own homestead on that acre to settle right on the nursery grounds where they still reside today. When Fred passed away unexpectedly in 1977, Bill and Diana had not only become partners in the nursery, but part of the Ashworth family. Fred's kids were glad to see Bill keep the nursery going.
We built it up. By 81, I still kept carrying the old customers that Fred had. Word of mouth would go out, and I started making new finds.
Over the next 36 years, Bill developed the nursery's offerings, tracking down every lead, keeping an eye on special trees around the region over decades, and faithfully propagating the varieties that stand out for their winter hardiness, good flavor, and more. Bill and Diana also grew the business side of the operation, developing a catalog, refining their yearly production cycle, and building a large and far-flung customer base.
We were the main supplier. We were selling about 6,000 apple trees alone. We were selling 50,000 trees. And that was right at our limit. We were the main supplier for the UP of Michigan, all of northern Wisconsin, all of northern Minnesota, all of Montana, and any place it was cold.
When they decided to retire and put out their last catalog in 2015, they were swamped with orders.
My feeling was this: if you can grow a quality product for a reasonable price, you can't lose. Fred would be very happy, I think. I think Fred would be very happy.
And however well the business has done, Bill's been looking well beyond it all along. He's growing trees not just to sell, but to build a population that can thrive despite threats from blight to climate change. He's shown his commitment to carrying on the vital horticultural traditions he inherited from Fred by working closely with Connor Hardiman, his own successor at the nursery. And having gratefully learned so much from Fred and others in the field, he shared his own knowledge in turn with everyone, from customers to colleagues to the kids he coaches every year on the New York State horticulture team. For all his attention to future generations, though, and despite his official retirement in 2015, he's also not ready to put aside his passion anytime soon. His work is just too meaningful to him and too much fun.
I've been doing this for a long time, and it's sort of like I've been able to play. How many people get to play for 50 years?
And as he says, looking up at the laden branches of a treasured black walnut tree on a sunny afternoon, he just might go ahead and do it for 50 more.